Yo there guys, this is Cobb and welcome to another episode of Dueling with Cobb, the series in which I duel you guys, provide some commentary of the duels, point out the things I did well, as well as the things I definitely could have done better. And in this episode, we have another Destro Lock, whom with I had one of the most insane Shadowfury-Dodging duels ever. A Frost, Deathknight and a Marksmanship Hunter. Now myself and Mr. Conversion here had a few duels and a lot of really good duels. The only issue was that each duel was, in the words of Sophie who was watching from over my shoulder, like Agent Smith versus Neo. They lasted extremely long, so I'm going to try not to slow this one down at any point if I can help it. So right here, I'm just trying not to get Howl of Terrored. I pulled away Shadowfury when he got close again, and he did take a risk by trinketing and howling me. And as I always say and still stand by, Destro v Destro duels are all about who has the most burning embers. If you are ahead on embers, you just won't die because you have the heals, and this is why I popped a Dark Soul here. I tried to back off here while he silenced, but his fear does still land, so I wait until his immolate lands before using Unbound Will to dispel both the fear and the immolate. And that is good to do, by the way, backing off and playing more defensively when you are either silenced or don't have any controls for your opponents. There is no reason to put yourself in a vulnerable position when either of those things apply to you. So here I do have CC ready to go again. I'm going to chain that into Conversion here, spamming Incinerates all the while, and I could Chaos Bolt here, but it is risky, and Incinerate does do some good damage on its own. And just look at my embers, I have a ton of embers built already, so there's basically no chance of me dying here anytime soon. Around here he portals nearer to me, but it is just as I'm moving away from the demonic circles, so there's no chance of me being howled. And right now I'm going to need to pause really quick, because using the add-on Vile cooldowns, I know that Conversion has Shadow Fury ready. I'm going to try and predict and dodge that. On this occasion, it doesn't work out, but I will be able to catch him mid-GCD and land a Howl, and this was more of a panic Howl. It was DR'd, but it was kind of needed to avoid being Howl of Terrored myself. Off of that though, he is going to land some CC of his own and pump more damage into me, as well as keeping his embers at a healthy level. And now speeding up the clip for just a split second, here Conversion is going to attempt to dodge my Shadow Fury, and I did it a couple of times to him, so he tries to do it back to me and he almost had me a split second later, and he might have just pulled that off. I'm going to skip forward a little bit here too to where Conversion pops his heals. He may be running a little bit low on embers, but all I'm doing now is watching his Shadow Fury coming off of cooldown on Vile cooldowns again, and as soon as it's ready again, I'm going to be trying to predict when he is going to use it. Here he spell locks, fears and immolates. Again, I Unbound Will off everything. Now I sense it's very likely he's going to Shadow Fury, so I portal, and this time I managed to dodge the Shadow Fury stun completely. If you can do this, and it gets easier the more you play the class, it is huge. Shadow Fury is one of the most reliable CCs available to Warlocks. It very often sets up not only our damage but our fears as well, so if you can avoid that, the other Warlock basically has no tier 2 talent. I'm going to skip again ahead here just for around 20 seconds or so. A lot of Destro v Destro is just an Ember generation war. Right here though, we both spell lock each other at the same time, but I think Conversion's fears were on DR, so right here I feel he should have been kiting away from me a little bit, but he doesn't do that. So I take advantage by double fearing. Always double fear if you can. It takes no effort at all really, and you will be surprised at how often you're going to fear someone's trinket. I want to Shadow Fury him here. I do hesitate just a little bit in case he was going to try for a dodge again, but I do land it in the end. Then I see that he has Shadow Fury back, hit my portal and managed to again avoid the Shadow Fury. A tip for avoiding Shadow Fury yourself, by the way, is knowing when an opponent likely wants to control you. And one of those times is when you have them in a CC. If you have your opponent in a Shadow Fury or a Fear, the chances are that they are going to want to land their own CC as soon as they regain control of their character again. So if they have Shadow Fury ready and your CC is ending, be ready with your Demonic Teleport. Here I am going to stun him without hesitation, as I can see his teleport ability is on cooldown, but it's also around here that Conversion is going to demonstrate the counter to having your Shadow Fury dodged. And the counter is fairly simple. If a Warlock seems to be good at dodging Shadow Fury, just spell lock him first. This spell obviously cannot be avoided easily, at least without an unending resolve, so pretty much guarantees that a follow-up Shadow Fury is going to connect. So right here the CC is going to start up once more. I'm going to accept an invite from my little brother. The Ember generation war continues, and just now he's going to portal in towards me, but I'm never close by my portal, or more importantly, I'm never close by his portal if I can help it. And that is of course to avoid being caught in a portal Howl of Terror combo, and it's little things like that that are going to give you an edge in Destro v Destro duels. After trinketing to DR Howl here, I'm going to back off, and this is what I mentioned earlier. I have no CCs ready, so I have no reason to stay pushed in, and by doing this I'm going to be able to outrange his his fear which would have otherwise landed, and out of this mini exchange he does have Shadowfury ready again, but this time I realised just too late I'm not going to be able to teleport to dodge this one. Skipping a bit further forwards again, the Ember War continuing, I see a Shadowfury is coming back once more, so I'm just waiting for it now really. I go to land a Shadowfury of my own, when Conversion actually dodges mine like a boss. And I'll be honest, a small tear of pride might have trickled down my cheek, and we'd done a few duels before this one, and here he'd gone for the dodge and pulled it off, and in all honesty, it was pretty awesome to see the practice paying off for him. And he does reap the rewards for that move as well, landing enough damage for me to Dark Bargain and Ember Tap a little bit too. Here though he is basically out of CC, I realise that in just a second and I'm going to push back in. Here though he does get his positioning just right by backing off while he has no controls ready and he's able to outrange my fear. Skipping a little forwards again, our demonic circles actually despawn as the duel has lasted for so long, so I make positive to lay mine again. It is such a massively important tool in almost every PvP situation imaginable for warlocks. Always remember to have one down. Conversion's uncharacteristic drain life here tells me that he is struggling for embers, so I know a chance to win could be coming up soon. Then I see his Shadowfury is back, so like I mentioned before, after being CC'd, people are generally more likely to try and land their own CC to regain control of a fight. So as this Shadowfury is ending, I hesitate for a split second, teleport and manage to dodge the Shadowfury once again. At this point I can kind of sense my advantage is growing and that he's running out of answers. He also has no Trinket or Will of the Forsaken ready, no Howl or Shadowfury for a while either, so I basically go a ham with my own CC and damage here, eventually bringing Conversion down. But awesome duels definitely, they were a lot of fun, it gave us both a lot of practice and he definitely improved quite visibly I feel as the duels went on, and that is what the series is all about, so an epic set of duels and a lot of food for thought with regards to teleport dodging. Alright, now for the other duels against Frost DK and Marksman Hunter, both a lot shorter and more quickly paced, starting with the Frost DK Desecration. The strategy here, same with Unholy Death Knights, is to pump out as much CC as possible in a chain. Very early on, all Death Knights have an insane amount of CC breakers and the sooner you force them out the better. And as always, Havoc the DK's ghoul pet as soon as possible to build some really quick embers. So I start my CC here with a Blanket Silence, which basically prevents Death Grip, Mind Freeze and pretty much every ability a DK has, and I'm going to cast a Fear off of that. Now I expect him to Will of the Forsaken or Lichborn this, but he uses Desecrated Ground instead, which immunes my Shadowfury, and in a duel where every CC counts, this is really bad for me. It means he's going to have IBF ready still to break my next Shadowfury too. I don't want to use my heals yet as I don't have many embers to spam into my Dark Regen, and in the meantime I keep the CC coming, Blood Horror into a Howl of Terror, and this is going to get his Will of the Forsaken, so it wasn't the best opener for me, but I did force a couple of CC breaks at least. When I portal away I make sure to Blanket Spell Lock so he can't Death Grip me right back. Then I see I'm full on embers, so I go ahead and pop my heals. I spam a load of Ember Taps into that too, so using my Dark Regen very efficiently here. And my Havoc is ghoul once more as well, and here I'm just trying to live until I can land my second load of CC. I throw a Shadowfury out here for which he does have IBF, so after that I Howl of Terror. Finally get his Lichborn, Blood Horror is next on the list, and with the end of my Dark Soul I land some pretty nice damage here, spell locking him out of that in case he grips me right away. Desecration strangulates me here, so I make sure to trinket this. There really isn't anything else you want to be trinketing against Frost Death Knights. And after being gripped in, I Dark Bargain, then because he is gripped, I know I can portal away quite safely again. All I'm doing here is trying to survive until my CCs are ready again. About now they come off again, so I get things rolling with his Shadowfury. I get him really low in that, and in my eagerness to take a win, I managed to Howl into his AMS, but at this point, that shouldn't matter a whole lot. Another Blood Horror lets me get him low enough to finish him off, and I had a spell lock ready out of that, so very interesting duels. Unholy Spec definitely has a lot more sustained damage via the Gargoyle and the improved Ghoul. And if I'd made the same little mistakes with the CC in this duel against an Unholy DK, I'm pretty confident that the outcome could have easily been different. And finally, this very fast-paced last duel is against Valinin, the MM Hunter, and I know from experience that I'm going to need a ton of embers and to get my defensive cooldowns right, else I will not be able to keep up with the damage. So I Pet Seduced right away. I do get Lullabied, but it breaks from Serpent Sting, though if it hadn't, I would have willed this sleep instantly. I want Havoc up on his pet and to pop Dark Soul very early on, and I managed to do that, build a second Ember almost instantly, and then an unending resolve. I do this because I want to buy myself some more time to build more embers before I need to use my heals. I get a Rain of Fire up, which helps even though I decide to howl his pets off of me, and then I Shadow Fury and land some pretty powerful damage to force a deterrence, and while he's in that, I see I have a billion embers and I decide to pop my Dark Region and pile pretty much all of my ember taps that I have available into it, and this is going to ensure that I am fine for at least a while. And as these heals are coming to an end, I Dark Bargain as well. I'm confident that I can finish the duel before I run out of steam. A second Dark Soul forces Valinen's second deterrence, and in this time I'm going to Havoc another of his pets and drop another Rain of Fire on them, building another really fast Ember. And from here on out he is too low to recover, so the main thing I want to emphasize here is getting the most out of your defensive cooldowns. I like to use Shield Wall Fairs to use that time to build Embers before using my Dark Regen, because remember, Dark Regen also gives you a 25% bonus to all healing while active, so by saving your embers until you pop Dark Regen, you actually get a lot more out of your ember taps. Anyways, all good duels and a lot of fun to record. Remember, if you want to get involved in the series, do send me an inbox with your battle tag and a link to your armory. To everyone who's still waiting their turn, I can only apologise. There are literally hundreds of you who want in on this series, so it is going to take me a wee bit of time to get around everyone. But that is all for this episode. Please do remember to leave a like behind to show your support for the series. Thanks for watching everyone. Stay Destro, and I will catch all of you guys next time.